So you love your wife, but you broke her trust. You did some things that maybe you regret and you don't want to talk about it, but we're going to. This video will give you 2 things that you need to focus your attention on to rebuild the trust within your marriage. Ready? 3, 2, 1, let's do it. We're going to keep it simple because more often than not, you've likely tried this before. You're going to go on the internet and you're going to find a rabbit hole of complexity in trying to be better, to grow, to make sure that you're doing the right things in your life, your relationship, your business, whatever it might be. So we're going to make this as simple as we possibly can. 2 things that you need to focus your attention on. The first thing you need to focus on as you rebuild trust with your wife is to properly take care of the past. I want to make sure that we really understand this bit of it. I've been doing this for 8 years with men, with committed couples. When we break trust, when we do something we regret, we apologize because we know we're supposed to, but we don't actually get into the depth of that apology or that ownership so that the person who has been harmed by our behavior understands that we get it. Therefore, we probably won't do it again because we need to plant a seed that we understand what we've done fully on the physical and circumstantial level, but also on the emotional level. How did it create pain within this relationship? Because if we can articulate that, that helps them see and understand that we won't trip over ourselves again. We see it as clear as day. So what does that look like? How do we properly clean up the past? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to get a piece of paper and write a timeline of your relationship from your first date until right now. In that timeline, fill in 3 types of activities in which you may have contributed to the pain of the relationship and the trust that now is broken. So those 3 categories are the drift, the disruptions, and the destructions. I'm sure one or all 3 categories will apply if you're trying to rebuild trust. Becomes really important. So again, we can articulate to the level that we need to. The drift, what is that? The drift is basically a collection of activities or behaviors that slowly but surely cause wear and tear within your relationship. It's not one significant event that you can look back at and say it was June of 2022, and I'm sorry for this thing that I did. It's a collection of habitual things that have caused harm over time. That might be dismissing their feelings. That might be lacking presence when you're in the room with them. That might be getting defensive more often than you cared to throughout the tenure of your relationship. That would be the drift, a collection of activities that play the death by 1,000 cuts role within the relationship. The second bucket of activity here is the disruptions. These are things that are not super malicious. You didn't try to disrupt your relationship, or they didn't either. They just kind of happened. They existed within your lives together and they disrupted some stuff. That could be having a kid, changing jobs, moving across town, moving across country, losing a parent. You don't have to apologize for those things because you didn't cause them, but maybe in the time that those things were going on, you dropped the ball here and there. Maybe when your kids were born, you weren't the greatest dad and most present partner in that time, and you want to apologize and take ownership for that. Maybe when you experienced some form of loss, or maybe there was a job loss that's going to impact you, but maybe you pulled away more than you would have liked to, and you want to apologize and take ownership for that. So that's the disruption category that you're going to see on this timeline of your relationship. And then lastly, the destructions. These are the big events. This is the infidelity. This is the financial choices that you've made that maybe you regret after having discussions about boundaries with money, and then you kept throwing money on the games on Sunday or on Saturday. These are significant events that you can put on the timeline and very clearly see the time, the date, how it impacted the relationship. They're very easy to pull out of the wreckage. So what you're going to do is look at the timeline. You're going to write all things down that make sense to you, that feel significant, and then kind of categorize into, are they the drift? Are they a disruption? Or are they a destruction? That way you kind of see it with a little more clarity. And here's the really purposeful and powerful thing that you'll do with this timeline exercise. You're going to look at all the things that are there. And from the tangible circumstances that you can see in front of you, I want to encourage you to pull out of those the emotions that were created within her due to your behaviors. So maybe you weren't super present when your first kid was born. Maybe she felt lonely. We could talk all day long about the circumstance, but if we're not talking about the emotion and the pain that was felt, we're not really addressing the thing that's in the room. You could circle the drain, arguing over the specifics and the semantics of what went down. But what we really want to do is pull out the emotion that they felt and take ownership and apologize for ways we may have contributed to that. Because when you can clearly state and see what went down and how she felt, she will understand that you get it. So that's phase one. Timeline exercise, pull out what you see and then pull back the emotions and apologize and take ownership for anything that you may have caused in terms of those emotional elements. And number two, you need to become different. If you've broken trust, oftentimes those things have been done in the dark, whether they be small things that built up over time or a big event like infidelity that broke trust. There are things that you did that she never saw, she never witnessed. But now they are because of what has become wreckage and rubble in your relationship. So to say, I'm a different guy, I stopped doing those things, I've switched that behavior off, she never saw it in the first place. So her not seeing it again still feels like the season of your relationship that inevitably caused harm to her. So you're going to need to demonstrate that you are a different human being moving forward. That means taking care of yourself differently. That means taking care of her differently. That means stepping up in ways and in roles within your relationship that maybe you weren't before. And you have to do it in a sustainable way. You can't do this for a month and then fall back when she finally realizes that it's okay here and stops giving you a hard time. This needs to be a habitual, sustainable process for you of you being a different human being, and do so from a place of purpose, not from a place of pain, frustration, shame, or doing it because she said you should. That is the magic that gets to happen within your relationship. She now knows, because you've done step one and now step two, that you understand the past and the harm that you caused, so you're not going to do it again. And step two, you are actively and consistently being a different version of yourself that allows her to feel safe. Because if you feel like to her the same guy that did the things that broke her heart, she's not going to be able to feel safe, put down those walls, and finally open back up to you. You have to become someone new. Does that mean you need to lose your heart, your essence, the things you like, and all that stuff? No, but you got to show up and be different. You have to make her feel like you're not the same guy that caused harm. So take these two things and run with them. Take action. Don't overcomplicate it and go down another rabbit hole asking the internet, how do I do these things? It's very simple. I outlined everything here for you. Do the timeline, look at the things that you caused harm with, pull back the emotions that she experienced, apologize, take ownership. And number two, become a different person. Show up differently, have different energy, hire someone that can allow you to move through your stuff so you can actually sustainably create that. And if that means you want to reach out to me, by all means, go down to the description, hop on my calendar, we can have a discussion, call your therapist, do something that will show her that you're choosing to be a different human, not just for her, not just for your kids, but for yourself, because you realize the guy that caused that harm, you don't want to be that guy anymore. You're choosing a new version of yourself. If you can lock those two things in and she's willing to watch that process and witness your change with you, trust will be rebuilt. You just have to take the action necessary. Okay? See you next time.